Hi everyone, Dr. Jeff here again this week. It's been an exciting week here at the Goldsby Chiropractic Wellness Center. Colin, what are we going to talk about this week?
So this week we're going to talk about scoliosis, and this is the S-shaped curvature of your spine. And it's also commonly referred to as idiopathic adolescent scoliosis. And this is because idiopathic, meaning we don't really know what the cause is, and adolescent being it most commonly occurs in adolescence.
Yeah, as Colin mentioned, we really don't know what causes it. Back in my school day, one thing they thought was just called as the twig is bent, so grows the tree, and that it's more 8-to-1 females versus males, and the females, if you ever go to a grade 8 dance, you can see the girls are kind of up here and the guys are down here. They have a growth spurt much sooner than the guys, usually a lot faster, and they thought that possibly with the growth spurt that the girls developed a scoliosis because something was wrong with their spine, and as they grew really fast, it got worse. They don't really think that much anymore what that is. That's the cause of it, but we really don't know. Another thought out there is a posture thing where people have their head kind of turned so their eyes are on level, and what they do is they then lift the shoulder up to try and get the eyes level so they're a bit better balanced. And again, that's another thought that's out there. There's no real proof that's an answer, but that's kind of one of the thoughts that's out there as to why we have this scoliosis issue. And quite often, you don't even know your child has a scoliosis issue because you see them every day. And it's not until I always like to say your grade 8 prom dress shopping time that you go out and all of a sudden the dressmaker, where are you going, says, oh, you notice your daughter has one shoulder that's lower than the other shoulder, or a hip that's lower than the other hip, or a leg that's longer than the other leg. Or it could be at the beach where, friends or someone says, oh, did you notice your son has a bit of a protruding shoulder or unlevel shoulder? Because you see them every day, you really notice it. And scoliosis is generally pretty mild. Usually doesn't cause any issues for them as they're growing up, but it's just something that you see. So one way, an easy way to test for this, if you want to test to check out your child to see if they have a scoliosis, is to look at them. So one thing I'll do is I'll get Colin here to turn around here and move forward a little bit. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the height of the shoulders. So all you do is put your hands on their shoulders, and you can see that Colin has a higher left shoulder than a lower right shoulder. So that's kind of telling us there's something going on there. We can run our fingers down and look at the bottom of his shoulder blades, and again you see the run angle of the shoulder blade down here is lower than this one here. The next test we do is just get them to lean forward. So we get Colin to lean forward to try and touch their toes. And then what we do is we look up along the spine. And what you're going to see, as on Colin, you see that this area here is a little higher than this area here. So that's telling us that the spine's kind of turning a little bit here and coming up, and then coming back this way here. Okay, that's good, Colin. So you're telling Colin probably has a very small little scoliosis in there. He's probably had it since he is in his single digits.
So there's not a whole lot of treatment, and there's no real cure for scoliosis. They do find that external bracing or chiropractic care can be beneficial to prevent the development and progression of scoliosis. And around 30 degrees, the medical community can be a little bit concerned, and you might be referred to an orthopedic surgeon. And at 40 degrees, they'll definitely be looking at treatment options, so surgery. This is where they'll go in and they'll break your back, and they'll put rods in and attempt to straighten your spine, and you might even end up a little bit taller afterwards as well.
So as Colin mentioned, there's no real cure out there for scoliosis. There is research going on. It's been going on for quite a while actually. It's called the clearinstitute.com company, and what they do is they do the bracing, and they will also do some chiropractic care, but they use a vibrating machine. So you kind of stand on this vibrating machine, and in your joints you have something called the Golgi tendon organs, and what these do is they tell the body, your brain, where your body is and how tight your muscles are. And what they have found is by using this vibration machine, it kind of puts these Golgi tendon organs to sleep, and as they brace you and as they adjust you, try and realign the spine, what will happen is the Golgi tendons are asleep, and when we take off the vibration machine, what happens is that they turn back on and they accept the new position of the spine. It's relatively new. I've had a couple patients actually went to Minnesota when they're doing some testing down there and had some success with it. In Ontario, the only clinic that I know that does is called the Leaside Chiropractic Clinic in Toronto.
So with scoliosis, once you stop growing, it sort of stabilizes and doesn't get any worse. And this is kind of where the Clear Institute stops their treatment.
As Colin mentioned, once you stop growing, your scoliosis pretty well stabilizes. It's not going to get any worse. And generally, as chiropractic is concerned, we're not really too worried about your scoliosis. It generally doesn't cause any pain. The only issue we have with it, as far as adjustments are concerned, is where that curve kind of changes direction. Those vertebrae are kind of locked in, where you really can't adjust those vertebrae anymore. It's like trying to adjust a brick wall. So you kind of have to stay away from that area. We kind of work below it and above it to try and keep your spine moving a little bit better. But the problem happens is when you get older and you start to shrink. Because once you start to shrink, what will happen is the scoliosis now is going to get worse and worse and worse. And people's torsos will get smaller and smaller and smaller. And what will happen then is that your lungs kind of get compressed. You'll find difficulty breathing. You'll find it more difficult to get rid of colds and flus. Also, your heart will start to get compressed a little bit, so you start getting a little more congestive heart failure and things like that. So really, through your midlife time, scoliosis is not going to be any issue at all for you. It's not really going to cause you any back pain, but once you start to shrink, that's when you start to run into some problems.
So if you liked the video today, make sure to follow us on YouTube and Facebook, leave a big like on the video, share it with your friends. If you have any questions about what we talked about today or any suggestions, feel free to email us at jgoldsworthy@goldsworthywellness.com. And as always, here at Goldsworthy Wellness,
We got your back.